close your eyes and let the whispers of the Silk Road carry you away. Imagine, if you will, a time long ago, before cars and planes, when the world felt much wider, much more mysterious. The Silk Road wasn't just one road, you see, but a network of paths, a vast spider web stretching from the bustling markets of ancient China all the way to the vibrant cities of the Roman Empire. Think of it not as a simple route for trade, but as a living, breathing tapestry woven from countless threads of human experience. Picture caravans of camels, their bells softly tinkling, swaying rhythmically across endless deserts. The air thick with the scent of spices, cinnamon, cloves, pepper, carried on the desert wind, a promise of distant lands. Merchants, their faces tanned by the sun, haggled good-naturedly over silks shimmering like 1,000 sunsets, jade smooth as river stones, and porcelain as delicate as a butterfly's wing. These were not just goods, they were stories, carried on the backs of these patient animals. Stories of faraway kingdoms, of bustling cities filled with sights and sounds beyond imagination. Along the way, you would have seen towering mountains piercing the sky, their peaks dusted with snow, and fertile oases bursting with life in the heart of the desert. You might have met nomadic tribes, their tents pitched beneath the stars, sharing stories and songs passed down through generations. Perhaps you would have shared a meal with them, tasting unfamiliar foods, learning a few words of their language, feeling the warmth of their hospitality. Every mile was a new encounter, a new story waiting to be discovered. And as you traveled, you would have noticed the gradual shift of languages, of customs, of faiths, a quiet testament to the way the world was connected, even in those distant times. Let the gentle rhythm of these faraway journeys lull you into a peaceful slumber. Imagine the earliest caravans, their slow, steady progress across vast landscapes, forging the first threads of connection. Picture the sun rising over the dunes, painting the sky in soft oranges and pinks as the camels begin their journey. Their padded feet made barely a sound on the shifting sand, a rhythmic whisper accompanying the creak of laden carts and the murmur of the caravan leaders. Each camel, a patient giant, carried its burden with unwavering grace. Spices from distant lands, perhaps, or bolts of richly dyed cloth, or maybe even simple tools crafted by skillful hands. The air itself felt thick with the scent of the desert, sun-baked earth, the faint sweetness of dates, and the ever-present dust that coated everything in a fine ochre layer. The travelers, a diverse group bound by a shared purpose, moved as one. They were a tapestry woven from different cultures, different tongues, but united by the common thread of trade. There was a quiet dignity in their collective effort, in their shared resilience against the harshness of the environment. Nights were spent under the vast star-studded sky, the flickering firelight casting long, dancing shadows. Stories were shared, songs were sung, and the bonds of community were strengthened with every shared meal, every whispered conversation under the watchful gaze of the stars. Day by day, they moved closer to their destination, their journey a testament to human endurance and ingenuity. Each step forward was a step toward connection, toward the exchange of goods and ideas, toward the slow, steady building of a world that was slowly but surely becoming more interconnected. The desert itself a seemingly unforgiving landscape, became a witness to this silent, steadfast progress, a silent observer of the nascent global networks that were being forged with each weary footfall, each sunrise, and each setting sun. The rhythmic sway of the caravan, the gentle murmur of the travelers, faded into the soft sounds of sleep as the sun dipped below the horizon, promising another day of travel and another step along this ancient trade route. Imagine, if you will, a world where the shimmering whisper of silk was a legend, a treasure guarded fiercely. Picture vast, sun-baked deserts stretching to the horizon, their sands whispering ancient secrets. Across these unforgiving landscapes, caravans wound their way, their slow, deliberate progress a testament to the value of their cargo. Within the tightly woven bales, nestled amongst fragrant spices and precious stones, lay the treasure, silk. The secret of its creation, a closely guarded knowledge passed down through generations, was held within the heart of the East. For centuries, only the skilled hands of Chinese artisans knew the art of coaxing the delicate threads from the cocoons of the mulberry silkworm. Each thread, finer than a spider's silken snare, was a testament to patience and artistry. The process was slow, painstaking, demanding immense skill and dedication. But the result was a fabric unlike any other, possessing a luminosity and a drape that captivated the world. The journey from the looms of the East to the courts of the West was fraught with peril. Mountains rose like slumbering giants, their peaks shrouded in mist and snow, challenging the weary travelers. Rivers swelled with sudden, unpredictable fury, and bandits, ever watchful, lurked in the shadows, their eyes gleaming with avarice. Yet, the lure of silk, its shimmering promise of wealth and luxury, spurred them on. Empires rose and fell, their fortunes tied to the flow of this precious commodity. Kings and queens adorned themselves in its shimmering embrace. Emperors and empresses draped themselves in its luxurious folds. The Silk Route, a tapestry of trade and adventure, was born from this simple yet magical fiber. And as the caravans journeyed, the threads of silk, like whispered stories, wove themselves into the very fabric of history, connecting distant lands and cultures in a timeless exchange of goods, ideas, and dreams. Each piece of silk, a tiny fragment of a vast and wondrous story. Imagine, if you will, the scent of cloves, rich and warm, hanging heavy in the air. Not just a fleeting whiff, but a persistent fragrance, carried on the gentle sea breezes, whispering tales of faraway lands. These weren't the neatly packaged spices of your local market. These were the precious, potent aromas of the East, their journey a long and winding one. Picture a spice trader, perhaps, his small ship bobbing gently on the waves. He's been at sea for months, his cargo hold filled with the intoxicating weight of cinnamon. The scent, sweet and woody, permeates every inch of his vessel, a constant companion through stormy nights and calm, sun-drenched days. He dreams of markets bustling with activity, of merchants haggling over price, the air thick with the combined perfumes of 100 different spices. Then there's the peppercorn, small and unassuming, yet possessing a fiery punch that would awaken the most sluggish of senses. Imagine the pepper vines, heavy with their precious cargo, swaying gently in the tropical sun. Envision the careful hands harvesting each berry, preparing it for its long voyage across oceans, its pungent aroma a promise of flavor and warmth in faraway lands. These routes, these fragrant trails, weren't simple lines on a map. They were intricate, meandering paths carved by the winds and waves, by the determined steps of traders and explorers. They wound through bustling ports, across vast deserts, and over towering mountain ranges, carrying with them not only spices, but stories, cultures, and the very essence of distant shores. Each gust of wind that carried the scent of these spices carried a whisper of adventure, a murmur of history. The air itself seemed to hum with the energy of journeys undertaken, the quiet determination of those who sought these treasures, and the lives they touched along the way. Now, let those fragrant images slowly fade as you drift off to sleep, the whispers of spices still lingering on the gentle breeze. The sun, a molten coin sinking below the horizon, cast long shadows across the endless dunes. Imagine the scene: a caravan, a slow-moving river of sand-colored life, stretching as far as the eye can see. Patient camels, their humps swaying gently with each deliberate step, formed the heart of it all. Their padded feet, surprisingly soft on the shifting sands, made little sound beyond the occasional sigh of wind whispering through the sparse desert grasses. Each camel carried its burden, a tapestry of goods woven together by distant lands and eager hands. Spices, fragrant and potent, filled rough woven sacks. Their aromas carried on the evening breeze. Cinnamon, cloves, peppercorns, a symphony of scent that hinted at faraway markets and bustling cities. Rolls of rich silks, vibrant hues muted by the desert dust, were carefully bound and secured, treasures destined for palaces and wealthy homes. Precious stones, gleaming faintly in the fading light, nestled within sturdy wooden chests, promising wealth and wonder to their recipients. And within these swaying loads, maybe even a few stories, whispered from merchant to merchant, traveler to traveler, carried as easily as the silks and spices. The rhythmic thud of hooves on sand, a soft percussion accompanying the caravan's steady pace, was hypnotic, a lullaby of the desert. The camels, wise and enduring, seemed to move in perfect unison, each one a silent participant in this ancient dance across the unforgiving terrain. Their silhouettes, dark and stark against the fiery sunset, were majestic figures against the boundless sky. Patient travelers carrying the weight of cultures and trade, their very presence a testament to human ingenuity and the enduring spirit of exploration. Even the harshest desert landscape couldn't diminish the beauty of their journey, a journey that continues even in our dreams as the last sliver of sun dips below the horizon and the stars begin to appear. The air is cool now, the sand soft beneath your feet. You are resting peacefully, the rhythm of the caravan still echoing gently in your mind. Imagine yourself strolling through Chang'an, the magnificent capital of the Tang Dynasty. The year is perhaps 750 AD, and the sun dips low, casting long shadows across bustling streets. The air hums with a gentle energy, a symphony of sounds. The clip-clop of horses' hooves on cobblestones, the murmur of conversations in 100 different tongues, the tinkling of bells from a passing merchant's cart laden with silks from the Far East. This grand city sprawls before you, a breathtaking tapestry woven with the threads of countless cultures. Merchants from Persia, their caravans laden with spices and precious stones, mingle with traders from India, their silks shimmering under the fading light. You might catch the scent of exotic perfumes mingling with the aroma of roasting meats from street vendors. The city's wide avenues, meticulously planned, pulse with life, a constant flow of people going about their daily routines. Grand temples rise majestically, their roofs adorned with intricate carvings, their bells echoing softly on the evening breeze. Along the waterways, sleek junks laden with goods from distant lands glide silently, their sails catching the last rays of the setting sun. The air is thick with the energy of commerce. Negotiations are whispered in hushed tones. Deals are struck, and fortunes are made and lost within the heart of this thriving metropolis. Everywhere you look, you see evidence of this vibrant cross-cultural exchange. You might see a Persian craftsman sharing his skills with a local artisan, or a Buddhist monk from the West conversing with a Confucian scholar. It's a melting pot of ideas, beliefs, and traditions, a testament to the Tang Dynasty's remarkable tolerance and openness. As night falls, the city takes on a softer glow, lanterns casting a warm amber light on the throngs of people still moving through its streets. Chang'an is a city that never truly sleeps, a vibrant heart beating at the very center of the Silk Road. And as you drift off to sleep, you carry with you the gentle rhythm of this ancient city, its sounds and scents lingering in your dreams. Imagine, if you will, a city shimmering under the endless blue sky. This is Samarkand, nestled in a valley where the ancient Silk Road wound its way through the heart of Central Asia. For centuries, it was a place of wonders, a crossroads where the world seemed to meet. Picture caravans slowly arriving, laden with silks from China, spices from India, and precious stones from lands beyond imagining. Camels, weary from their long journeys, knelt to rest, their soft sighs mingling with the murmuring sounds of many languages. Merchants from faraway lands haggled gently over prices, their voices a low hum in the bustling marketplaces. The scent of exotic fruits and fragrant herbs filled the air, a heady perfume that clung to the clothes of everyone who passed. These were not simply traders, you see, they were storytellers, each carrying tales from their homelands, weaving them into the vibrant tapestry of Samarkand. A merchant from Persia might speak of the grandeur of Persepolis, its palaces echoing with forgotten kings. Another, from far-off China, might describe the towering mountains and winding rivers of their homeland, or the delicate art of porcelain making. The exchange wasn't just of goods, it was a barter of ideas, a silent conversation conducted through gestures and shared smiles. Knowledge flowed as freely as the Zarafshan River that watered the fertile valley. Astronomers shared their calculations of the stars, philosophers debated the meaning of life, and artisans exchanged techniques, their crafts becoming richer and more diverse through these cross-cultural encounters. A shared meal under the shade of a mulberry tree might bring together a Sogdian merchant, a Chinese silk weaver, and a Persian scholar, their differences dissolving into a common human experience. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, the city settled into a peaceful slumber, the echoes of these stories lingering in the quiet night air. And in the morning, the caravans would set off again, carrying with them not just silks and spices, but the seeds of new ideas, stories that would travel across continents, shaping the world in ways no single trader could ever fully comprehend. The Silk Road, you see, wasn't just a land route. Oh no, its influence stretched far beyond the camel caravans and dusty trails. Imagine, if you will, the vast ocean, a shimmering expanse of blue under a sky dusted with stars. The rhythmic lapping of waves against the sturdy hulls of ships, a constant, gentle hush that lulled weary sailors to a peaceful slumber. These weren't just any ships, they were floating extensions of the Silk Road, carrying the treasures of the East to far-flung shores. Picture the scene: a dhow, a graceful Arab vessel, its sails billowing in the warm monsoon winds. On board, precious silks from China are carefully stacked, their vibrant colors a stark contrast to the deep blue of the sea. The air is thick with the aroma of spices: cloves from the Moluccas, cinnamon from Ceylon, peppercorns from Malabar, a fragrant reminder of the faraway lands these ships connected. The sailors, weathered and tanned by the sun, navigate by the stars, their movements as familiar and calming as the rise and fall of the tide. These maritime routes were just as vital as their land-based counterparts. They linked the Indian Ocean to the South China Sea, connecting India, Arabia, East Africa, and Southeast Asia in a complex web of trade and cultural exchange. Imagine the quiet hum of activity on board, the gentle creak of the wood, the soft murmur of sailors' conversations, the rhythmic splash of oars dipping into the water. Each journey was a voyage of discovery, a silent testament to human ingenuity and resilience. They weren't just transporting goods, they were carrying stories, ideas, and beliefs across vast distances. A Chinese porcelain vase might find its way to an African king's palace. A tale from the Arabian Nights might reach the ears of a Southeast Asian merchant. A new spice might find its way into a European kitchen. All this carried on the gentle swells of the ocean, woven into the fabric of a world slowly, surely becoming more interconnected. The rhythmic sway of the ship, the whispering waves, all contributing to the lullaby of the Silk Road at sea, a gentle serenade to the interconnectedness of our world. Let the sounds of the ocean lull you into a peaceful sleep. Imagine, if you will, the slow, steady rhythm of camel caravans traversing vast, sun-drenched landscapes. These weren't merchants bearing silks and spices, though some undoubtedly were. These were travelers on a different sort of journey, carrying something far more precious: the seeds of a new understanding, the gentle whispers of Buddhist teachings. Picture the monks, their faces etched with serenity, their voices soft as the desert wind, sharing stories of the Buddha, of enlightenment and compassion. As they walked, the ancient Silk Road became a pathway for spiritual growth. Small monasteries, nestled in quiet valleys or perched atop windswept hills, became beacons of peace, places of refuge and contemplation. The teachings took root, quietly transforming the lives they touched. A farmer, once consumed by the anxieties of his harvest, found solace in meditation, his movements becoming slower, more deliberate, his spirit calmer. A merchant, hardened by years of travel and trade, discovered a gentler way of conducting business, guided by principles of fairness and kindness. The influence spread, blossoming into vibrant expressions of art and culture. Imagine the delicate brushstrokes of a master calligrapher, transforming simple characters into profound statements of spiritual truth. Envision the serene beauty of a temple, its intricate carvings whispering tales of the Buddha's life, each detail a testament to the devotion and skill of the artisans. The rhythmic chanting of monks, echoing through the mountains and across the plains, became a lullaby for weary souls, a soothing balm for troubled minds. Generations passed, and the gentle spread of Buddhism continued, weaving itself into the very fabric of the land, transforming not only individual lives, but the landscape itself. The very air seemed to hum with a quiet sense of peace, a legacy of those patient travelers who carried the light westward, one step at a time. And as the sun sets on this day, let the tranquility of their journey settle over you too, bringing you gentle rest. Imagine, if you will, a slow, steady current flowing across the continents. Not a river of water, but a river of ideas, a gentle stream of innovation. This wasn't a dramatic rush, a sudden burst of invention, but a quiet transfer of knowledge, happening alongside the more obvious trade in goods. Think of a merchant ship, its hold filled with silks and spices, but also carrying a single, carefully wrapped scroll containing the secrets of a new method of weaving. Or a humble craftsman traveling on foot, his pack containing not just tools, but the knowledge of a superior technique for forging metal. These were the quiet currents of change. A simple compass, perhaps, making its way from China, gradually altering the course of exploration and trade across the known world. The knowledge wasn't shouted from the rooftops. It was shared in hushed tones between artisans, whispered across bustling marketplaces, subtly embedded in the designs of everyday objects. Each exchange, each quiet transfer of understanding rippled outwards, gradually shaping entire societies. Consider the slow but steady spread of papermaking techniques, transforming the way information was stored and shared, fostering literacy and scholarship on an unprecedented scale. Or picture the journey of the printing press, its evolution and spread, allowing for wider access to books and knowledge, empowering individuals and fostering intellectual growth across the globe. These quiet transfers often went unnoticed at the time. The weaver who learned a new technique, the blacksmith who improved his methods, didn't always understand the vast implications of their newly acquired knowledge. But as these improvements accumulated, they slowly but surely altered the fabric of life itself. New farming methods increased crop yields, leading to larger populations and thriving cities. Improved building techniques led to stronger, more resilient homes and infrastructure. The seemingly small inventions, shared and adapted across cultures, combined to create a cumulative effect of progress, a gentle tide of innovation slowly reshaping the world. It's a story of collaboration, a testament to the human capacity for learning and sharing, a constant, quiet revolution unfolding over centuries. And as you drift off to sleep, remember the gentle hum of these quiet exchanges, the steady flow of innovation, ever shaping the world around us. Now, drift away with us to the vast steppes of Central Asia, to a time of sweeping change. Imagine a world where the Mongol Empire stretched across continents, a tapestry woven from threads of many cultures. Picture the Silk Road, once a winding path, now a smoother highway under the Pax Mongolica, a period of relative peace and stability under Mongol rule. Caravans, once cautious, moved more freely, bearing silks and spices, ideas and stories, from the bustling markets of Samarkand to the distant shores of the Black Sea. This incredible network connected people in ways never before imagined, fostering a vibrant exchange of goods and knowledge. Think of a young merchant, perhaps from Persia, traveling along these well-maintained roads. He carries bolts of vibrant cloth destined for the markets of Europe. He might encounter Buddhist monks from Tibet, sharing stories of ancient wisdom, or Muslim scholars from Baghdad discussing the latest advancements in astronomy. The unifying force of the Mongol Empire, while born of conquest, unintentionally fostered a golden age of communication and trade, bridging the gaps between disparate civilizations. Think of a young merchant, perhaps from Persia, traveling along these well-maintained roads. He carries bolts of vibrant cloth destined for the markets of Europe. He might encounter Buddhist monks from Tibet sharing stories of ancient wisdom, or Muslim scholars from Baghdad discussing the latest advancements in astronomy. The unifying force of the Mongol Empire, while born of conquest, unintentionally fostered a golden age of communication and trade, bridging the gaps between disparate civilizations. But this vast empire wasn't without its shadows. The unification came at a cost. Countless lives were lost in the conquests that forged this mighty realm. And while trade flourished, the sheer scale of the Mongol armies and their movements meant disruptions and anxieties for countless communities. The weight of imperial rule pressed heavily on local cultures and traditions, forcing adaptations and compromises. The Mongol Empire, in its grandeur, also brought immense change, reshaping the political landscape and leaving a profound and lasting impact on the world, a legacy both magnificent and complex. Let the gentle rhythm of these words lull you into a peaceful slumber as you imagine those distant caravans winding their way through history. Now, as the world continued its slow, steady turn, a new rhythm began to emerge, a rhythm of the waves. Imagine, if you will, the gentle rocking of a ship on the open ocean, the creak of its timbers, a lullaby under a vast starlit sky. The Silk Road, that ancient path across the land, was beginning to feel the pull of something new, something vast and powerful, the sea. Slowly, steadily, sea routes grew in importance. No longer were goods solely carried on camelback and mule train. The scent of spices and silks now mingled with the salty tang of the ocean breeze, carried on the sails of sturdy ships. Coastal cities, once quiet villages, swelled with activity, their harbors bustling with the arrival and departure of vessels from far-off lands. Nations that had previously held sway over land-based trade now found themselves vying for control of the oceans. Portugal, Spain, the Netherlands, these names became synonymous with seafaring prowess, their explorers charting new routes, their traders establishing lucrative connections across continents. Powerful navies protected their ships, ensuring the safe passage of precious cargo. The Silk Road, once the undisputed king of global commerce, now found itself sharing its reign. The sea offered speed, efficiency, and the ability to bypass the treacherous mountain passes and arid deserts. While the land routes continued to play a role, the balance of power shifted. Think of the changing tides, the slow but certain rise of the ocean, gently eroding the banks of the old pathways. The very destiny of the Silk Road, its flow of goods and ideas, was subtly, peacefully altered as the world embraced the vastness of the sea. And as the waves continue their rhythmic ebb and flow, you drift off into a peaceful slumber. And so, the whispering winds of change began to subtly shift the sands of the Silk Road. It wasn't a sudden collapse, you see, but a slow, gentle decline, like the fading light at the end of a long day. New routes, carved by ambitious merchants and explorers, began to draw away some of the vibrant flow of goods and ideas. Maritime trade, once a smaller player, grew in strength, offering a faster, perhaps less perilous passage for those seeking the riches of the East. The great ships, their sails catching the sun, became a more enticing prospect than the long, arduous journeys over land. The political landscape also altered. Empires rose and fell, their borders shifting like the desert dunes themselves. Once powerful kingdoms who had guarded and benefited from the road found their influence waning. New players emerged, their ambitions reshaping the economic map. The flow of gold and silver, the lifeblood of the Silk Road, began to trickle into different channels, diverted by the changing tides of power and the allure of new trading partners. Imagine the quiet murmur of merchants, once loud and boisterous, becoming a low hum as they adapted to the changing times. The caravanserai, once bustling hubs of activity, grew quieter, their courtyards echoing with fewer footsteps. The familiar faces, the stories shared over steaming cups of tea, slowly became less frequent, replaced by the unfamiliar faces of a new era. The Silk Road didn't vanish overnight, of course. It simply evolved. Its threads, once tightly woven, gradually loosened, creating a tapestry more complex, more intricate, and perhaps less centrally focused than it had once been. The spirit of exchange, the yearning for connection, that remained, finding new pathways to wind its way across the world. And as the old routes faded, so new ones arose, each with its own story to tell. And so, the threads of the Silk Road, spun across centuries, continue to weave themselves into the fabric of our world. Imagine, if you will, the slow, deliberate journey of a single silk thread, traveling from the bustling markets of Chang'an to the quiet courtyards of Samarkand. With it, it carried not just the shimmering material itself, but also the whispers of stories, the subtle shifts in artistic expression. Think of the intricate mosaics of Ravenna, their vibrant hues echoing the glazed ceramics born from the kilns of Persia. Picture the majestic domes of Istanbul, their soaring silhouettes mirroring the architectural influences exchanged along the ancient routes. The very air seems to hum with a shared history, a gentle harmony of styles and techniques. The flavors of the Silk Road linger on our palates as well. Imagine the warmth of a fragrant tagine, its spices whispering tales of faraway lands, or the delicate sweetness of a baklava, a testament to the artistry of pastry making passed down through generations. Each bite is a journey, a taste of history itself. And the languages, the languages. Words traveled along with the goods, slowly blending and evolving, creating a tapestry of dialects as rich and diverse as the landscapes they represented. A subtle inflection in pronunciation, a shared grammatical structure. These are the quiet echoes of a shared past, a legacy of understanding forged in the crucible of cultural exchange. The Silk Road's influence isn't just something confined to history books. It's in the art you see, the buildings you admire, the food you savor, and even the way you speak. It's a silent conversation, a continuous exchange that has shaped the world we inhabit today. So breathe deeply, let the weight of history settle gently upon you, and drift off into a peaceful sleep, knowing the whispers of the Silk Road continue to resonate within us all.
And so, the whispers of caravans faded, the sounds of camel bells echoing only in the sands of time. But the Silk Road, in its essence, never truly slept. Even as empires rose and fell, the threads of its influence remained, woven into the very fabric of countless cultures. Today, we find ourselves rediscovering this ancient network, not as traders seeking silks and spices, but as explorers of history and culture. Scholars meticulously piece together fragments of pottery, decipher ancient texts etched on stone, and analyze the subtle shifts in artistic styles across continents. Each discovery paints a richer picture of a world once bound together by shared ideas, innovations, and, yes, even the occasional conflict. Imagine, if you will, teams of archaeologists carefully excavating ancient settlements along the old routes, unearthing remnants of bustling marketplaces and the quiet homes of families who lived and worked along the way. They find evidence of technological exchange, the spread of papermaking techniques, the adoption of new agricultural practices, the slow but steady diffusion of religious beliefs. The modern Silk Road isn't just a historical curiosity, it serves as a powerful reminder of our interconnected world. Its legacy is a lesson in the beauty and complexity of cross-cultural understanding. The challenges faced by those ancient travelers, navigating treacherous landscapes, overcoming language barriers, adapting to different customs, resonate deeply with the complexities we face today in a globally connected world. We learn from the successes and failures of past interactions, recognizing that cooperation and understanding are key to building a more peaceful and prosperous future. The Silk Road whispers to us, not of conquest or dominance, but of exchange and mutual growth. It encourages us to see our own journeys, both personal and collective, as part of a larger, ongoing narrative, a story written not just in the past, but in the present and the future, a story where understanding and collaboration lead the way. Let the gentle hum of the Silk Road lull you into a peaceful slumber. Let its ancient wisdom soothe your mind, and dream of distant lands. The sun dips low, casting long shadows across the ancient Silk Road, a path worn smooth by countless footsteps over millennia. Imagine, if you will, the whisper of wind carrying the scent of spices and faraway lands. This wasn't just a trade route, it was a living thread connecting disparate cultures, a testament to humanity's unending curiosity. Each camel caravan, each weary traveler, carried not only silks and porcelain, but also stories, ideas, and a yearning to understand the world beyond their own horizon. That yearning, my friends, that innate human desire to connect and explore, is a flame that has never truly been extinguished. It flickers in the heart of every child who gazes at the stars, wondering what lies beyond. It burns brightly in the soul of every adventurer who sets out to chart unknown territories, whether physical or intellectual. The Silk Road, in its physical form, may be largely a memory, but its spirit persists. Think of the countless exchanges that took place along its length.
the sharing of knowledge, the blending of artistic styles, the slow, gradual evolution of languages and customs. These were not mere transactions, they were acts of connection, forging links between people who might never have otherwise met. The silk itself, a symbol of luxury and refinement, is a metaphor for the preciousness of these connections, each strand representing a shared experience, a moment of understanding. Even today, that spirit of exploration endures. It's in the scientists who unravel the mysteries of the universe, in the artists who create new forms of expression, in the everyday journeys we undertake to broaden our horizons, to learn something new, to experience something different. So, as you drift off to sleep, let the quiet hum of the Silk Road's enduring spirit lull you into peaceful slumber. Let the image of those countless journeys, both grand and small, fill your dreams. And know that the human spirit, ever curious, ever searching, will continue to explore, to connect, and to discover, long after we are gone. The camel train moves slowly, a rhythmic swaying under the vast, star-studded sky. Imagine yourself nestled amongst the soft bales of silk, the scent of spices, cinnamon, cloves, and cardamom mingling with the dry desert air. The night is quiet, broken only by the gentle creak of leather and the soft padding of hooves on sand. You feel the warmth of the sun's lingering heat in the sand beneath you, a comforting weight against your weary bones. The moon, a silver disk in the inky blackness, casts long, dancing shadows across the dunes. Think of the ancient caravanserai, welcoming oases where weary travelers found rest. Picture yourself within those walls, the sounds of soft conversation and the clinking of teacups drifting in from the courtyard. The air is filled with the low hum of shared stories, whispered secrets of faraway lands. A cool breeze whispers across the desert, carrying the scent of distant date palms and the faint echo of ancient songs. Let these sounds wash over you, carrying away the day's worries and anxieties. Feel the weight of your eyelids growing heavier, your breathing slowing, becoming deep and even. The stars above twinkle like diamonds scattered on black velvet, each one a distant sun, a silent witness to countless journeys across the sands. Imagine you are drifting along with them, floating gently on the currents of the night. The rhythm of the caravan lulls you further into slumber. The soft patter of hooves becomes a soothing heartbeat, a steady pulse guiding you towards peaceful sleep. The scent of exotic woods and fragrant herbs fill your dreams. You are carried away on a gentle breeze across shimmering sands and under a canopy of stars, drifting towards the most peaceful of slumber. Let the images of the Silk Road, its ancient pathways, and the whispers of its history lull you into a deep and restful sleep. Sweet dreams.